What's up, BV Clan? Alex Espion here, and welcome back to the next episode of the Pokemon Gold Randomizer Nuzlocke. In the last episode, we made it to this town we're currently in, Fuchsia City, or city we're currently in, rather, now that I said Fuchsia City. It looks more like a town, but I always say Fuchsia City, so I guess I consider it more of a town than a city, even though I don't really know... Sorry, I guess I consider it more of a city than a town, even though I don't really know what the definition is of city versus town. I just kind of call it Fuchsia City because Fuchsia City feels more correct than Fuchsia Town. But I feel like, given what little I know about the definition of town versus city, this seems like a town. This doesn't look like a city. But Fuchsia City sounds way better than Fuchsia Town, so I'm going to keep calling it Fuchsia City. Anyway, so we're going to go right into the gym right here in a second, but first I got to make sure I have an appropriate Pokemon to take on the gym in the front. Not Geraldine because they're too high level. Not Stacy, because they're also a little bit too high level. So Jean, Kenya, Judy, or Juan. I mean, it's not going to be a Poison-type gym, because this is a randomizer. So, it's not like anyone's type matters. Hold on. Just pop up my screen. Let me get rid of it. And there we go. Okay. Anyway. So, type effectiveness doesn't matter, because it's randomized. Oh my gosh, another pop-up. Stupid. Okay. Anyway. Type effectiveness does not matter because it's randomized, so it's not even going to be a Poison-type gym, this Poison-type gym. So I guess I could just go with really anything that's, not what I consider to be over-leveled. So, I mean, who do I prioritize getting to a higher level first? Probably Juan, because I want them to be higher level than everyone else, just ever so slightly, by one level, because they're the starter. But, in fact, they are right now 51, while my highest level is 54. So, yeah, definitely should put them in front for now. Yo, champion making! Oops, take a good look around you. The trainers all look like the leader, Janine. Which of them is the real Janine? That is a great question. I guarantee it's not this one who's right up in front. Yeah. Fooled you! Ha ha ha! No, you did not. These pop-ups, man, they are everywhere, my gosh. You can't see them. Thank goodness you can't see them, but my computer, there's like pop-ups everywhere of like, oh, this application failed to load right now, and there's an error occurring, and it never means anything. I just carry on as normal, but there are so many pop-ups going on my computer right now. EA is screaming at me in the bottom corner. I can see like the icon in my taskbar glowing, being like, we can't connect to the internet, and it's like, that's because I don't have internet right now. Stupid EA app, what are you doing? Trying to connect to the internet. I don't have it right now. I don't know what's wrong with my internet right now, but it's not working. So that's fine. I mean, I don't need internet to play on an emulator, so I can still record. But EA is freaking out in the bottom. I shouldn't say corner. It's more in the center of the taskbar, but it's freaking out in the taskbar. It's like, we can't access the EA application. We can't access the EA store. Oh no! My EA app is going nuts. Anyway, Guillotine. That's an interesting move for Juan to learn. I did not know they learned that, despite the fact that I literally look. Oh my gosh! EA needs to stop. Exit app right now. Exit. Stop. Why have I been hitting retry? I'm so silly. Okay, Guillotine. Shall we learn Guillotine? I mean, why the heck not? Stun Spore? Has Stun Spore ever really helped me in this playthrough? We're here on gym, what is it, like 12? 13? One of those. Maybe even 14. I don't really know. I've stopped keeping count. I stopped keeping count after 8, honestly. I'll see when I title the episode, because I always title the episode when we fight a gym, the number of the gym that it is. I'll find out then. For now, I do not know what gym number we're on, but regardless, we are on a high number of gyms. A higher number than there are gyms in most games, honestly, because most games stop at 8. But, we are 12, 13, 14, one of those amounts of gyms into the game, and I feel like we've barely used Stun Spore, and we've had it like the entire game, because we got it obviously when, did we get it when Juan was a Mareep? Or did we get it when Juan was a Hoppip? It could have been either. Both of those Pokemon sound like they could use Stun Spore, but, regardless, we got it a very long time ago, before Juan was even a Gligar, and so the entirety of the time Juan has been a Gligar, they have had Stun Spore, and I think we've used it like 1 or 2 times. Ever. So, yeah, I think we get rid of Stun Spore. As much as I would like to not have all, normal type attacking moves on this Pokemon, I really don't see a better option considering this thing's horrible learn set. So yeah, let's just learn Guillotine over Stun Spore. Why the heck not? Right now I don't know how useful Guillotine is. Actually, for this gym it's gonna be very useful, now that I think about it, because this gym's levels are incredibly low. I like to be in between episodes. The gym leader's ace is like 36. I don't know. I mean, I guess by that logic, since the levels are so low, they probably wanted you to do this gym first out of all the gyms in Kanto, because it seems to have the lowest levels out of all the gym leaders in Kanto. Janine does. I don't know why I called her an it. That's weird. Sorry. Yeah. Janine seems to have the lowest levels out of any of the gym leaders in Kanto, even though they are, like, very far from the place where you, like, originally enter Kanto from, which is, whatever the town that Surge is in is called. I always call it Celadon. It's not Celadon. Celadon is the town with a department store. Even a city, rather. Again, town versus city, don't understand the difference, but I do know Celadon is definitely a city, not a town. It's got a big old building. It's got a big old department store. That sounds like a very city-like thing. Even though I don't really know what the definition of city is exactly, as I said. Heracross is coming in. Okay, it's gonna try to reckon with our flying type here, this bug fighting type. That is unfortunate for it. This will clearly not go well. Heracross, frankly, I'd start packing your things right now. Packing your things to go 6 feet under. I don't know what you want to bring with you. Frankly, I don't think it matters, because you can't take it where you're going. But, whatever. Whatever you need to prepare, whatever you need to pack, as you are sent to your final resting place, friend. Poet Daniel was defeated. Ooh, I lost. You're not weak. Okay, so that is one Janine down. Well, wasn't my disguise perfect? I mean, it was pretty perfect. Yeah, you did look just like Janine. The problem is Janine would not be in the front of the gym. So, that kind of gave away your disguise. Even if your disguise looked perfect, logically it didn't make sense for you to be the real Janine. So therefore, I didn't fall for it. Anyway, I also bet it's not this one, because this one's right in the corner of the gym, where I feel like the real Janine would be more so in the center. I'm Janine! No, you're not. You just transformed out of Janine. Wait, you are Janine? What? How did you know I was real? Let's battle. Wait, she was the real Janine? I accidentally fought the real Janine? No, you're not the real Janine. That's not what Janine's sprite looks like. You're lying to me. You're gaslighting me. That's not fair. Because I swear I saw her transform, and she had, like, different hair than when she was in the Janine form. So I'm like, oh, wait, that's not Janine. Obviously it's not Janine. Like, I thought it wasn't Janine. And then she, like, transformed out of Janine form, I guess. And then it confirmed it for me. But I couldn't really tell that she was out of Janine form. Like, she looked slightly different than in Janine form, but it was hard to tell because, you know, she was facing backwards, so I couldn't see, like, the front sprite. Obviously, the front sprite would have been more obvious, like, whether or not she was Janine, because I would have seen, like, the two-finger, like, ninja thing, and, like, the hair would have been more, like, spiking outwards. But both Janine and the trainer sprite for this trainer had their hair in a bun, so, like, from the back, I couldn't tell if she actually was Janine or not. Darn it! I wanted to win! But, she is not in fact Janine, she's just gaslighting me, and it worked because, as I said, look, she's still got her hair in a bun like Janine would from the back. It's hard to distinguish between them from the back. From the front, I was like, that's obviously... Well, from the front, they were transformed into Janine, so I'm like, that's Janine. And then I talked to them, like, from the back, and then they turned around, and so I couldn't tell when they transformed out of Janine if they actually transformed out of Janine, or she just, like, did a costume change or something. Because she obviously did the spin like she was transforming out of the Janine outfit, but then she said she was Janine, so I thought that she was Janine, but she just changed outfits or something. I couldn't tell whether or not she was actually Janine from the back, because the hair is... The only thing that's identifiable about the sprite from the back is, like, the hair, really, and both this trainer sprite and the Janine sprite have their hair in a bun. So, I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell if they were actually Janine or whether they were gaslighting me. But they were, in fact, gaslighting me, clearly. You must be getting tired. I am not. I have fought 2 trainers, one of them being you, and you are not much of a challenge, and neither was anyone else before you. And by anyone else before you, I mean the one person before you. Wahaha! You betcha, dude! I'm Janine! I don't think you're Janine. I also don't know if you're a girl. Fisher Pansy? Okay. I mean... I feel like, who am I to say I don't know if you're a girl, but then again, this was a game made in 1999, so, yeah, I'm gonna say that you're a guy. I'm just gonna say, based on the hairstyle, the short hair, that you're probably a guy, and therefore that I highly distrust that you are Janine. I shouldn't be saying that during Pride Month, should I? You know what? Fine, you could be Janine. You could be Janine, you could be a girl. Okay, I don't know. I don't know. It is Pride Month, after all. I should not assume. Even though this was made in 1999, it's Pride Month, so let's pretend it was made right now in the modern day. He could be a girl. That could be a girl. He could be a she. I don't know. I'm not sure. You never know. Fisher Pansy was defeated. They look like a guy to me, but who am I to say in June? My disguise was right on. Dang! Who am I to say in June, even if this game was made in 1999? Hey, dude, was my disguise cute or what, huh? Yeah, judging by that dialogue, I would say that that's probably a guy. And that's sort of the joke behind that trainer, is that they are saying dude, and like, it was cool, huh? And I was cute, huh? Like, I do think that the joke there is that it's a guy pretending to be a girl. But also, it's Pride Month, so who am I to say? Foo-foo-foo-foo-foo! I'm Janine, the gym leader! No, I'm not! Gotcha, sucker! You know, I was actually starting to believe it, because you were more so in the center of the gym, so I was like, this could actually be her. But it wasn't. She got me. Kind of. A little bit. Not really. I wasn't really set on it. I was like, it could be Janine. I'd believe it. But I wasn't like, this is absolutely Janine. I wasn't sure of it. I thought that there was a possibility. And me thinking there was a possibility does not necessarily mean you got me. It just means that you made me think there was a possibility. Like, I wouldn't say that that's on the same degree as saying you got me. So, 2 strengths should take this Kingler down. Pretty darn easy, because everything in this gym is so low level comparatively to us. I mean, 22 levels below on the gym that we're currently taking on. It does really make me think that, this gym should have been the first one you took on in the Kanto region. But given where they put you in the Kanto region, where you, when you first enter the region, that does not seem to be the case. Certainly, if you come out at the Vermilion, is that the town with Lieutenant Surge in them? Surely, if the boat lands in Vermilion, then, and there's nothing obstructing you from getting to the Vermilion City Gym in that town when you land there on the boat, when you first enter Kanto in this game, certainly then, they expect you to do the Vermilion Gym first before any other gym in Kanto. Because that's where you start, and there's nothing obstructing you. That's where you start your Kanto journey in the Johto games. And there's nothing obstructing you from going right to the Vermilion City Gym the minute you enter Vermilion City, or town, or whatever it is. I don't even know at this point. But yeah, like, if you are entering Vermilion, like, on the ship that is bringing you to Kanto, if you enter Kanto and you're instantly in Vermilion, and there is nothing obstructing you from taking on the gym right then and there, why would they expect you to go to an entirely different town that is, like, so far from Vermilion in order to take on the first gym, when you could just take on your first gym in Kanto right there in Vermilion, instead of all the way down here in Fuchsia? I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking, making this gym's level so low, as if this is the first gym you're supposed to take on in Kanto. Because, very clearly, based on where you end up in Kanto, when you first entered this region in this game, that is not the case. Very clearly, based on where the boat lands, where the SS Aqua takes you first in Kanto, in this game, they do not want you to take on the Fuchsia City Gym first, as your first gym in Kanto. I had you fooled. Again, you really did not. It really depends on your definition of fooled, and according to my definition of fooled, you most certainly did not. How will you distinguish our real gym leader? That's very easy. I will defeat all of you until there is none of you left besides the real one. Foo-foo-foo-foo-foo. Hopefully. I'm sorry to disappoint you. I'm only joking! I'm the real deal! Oh. Janine of Fuchsia Gym, that's me! Oh. Oh wait, yeah, I did take on I did take on all of them, didn't I? I was like, there's that other person down there that I still have to fight, so that's probably the gym leader. But no, she's actually already transformed out of Janine form. I don't know what I'm thinking. I'm looking at her from the back, and again, I can't distinguish if that's Janine or not, because, I thought that was the Janine sprite. Meanwhile, she'd already actually transformed out of the Janine sprite, but I just couldn't tell, because again, from the back, the only distinguishing feature of the Janine sprite is the bun, and she had a bun, so I couldn't tell if it was actually Janine or not, even though she had already transformed out of the Janine form. That's funny. So, as I said, her highest level, I believe, is 36. I believe this is her highest level Pokemon out right now. and her team does not get any higher level than this. So therefore, I believe that I could just guillotine her entire team, her entire team, theoretically. But that would be boring, and also would probably take a while, because it would take a while to land all those guillotines, because guillotines have obviously very low accuracy, especially when she has 5 Pokemon to land guillotine on. Like, that sounds like a lot of guillotines to land. Also, now that I think about it, guillotine only has 5 PP. So you know what? Why not actually try to land guillotines on her entire team? Just see how many guillotines we can actually land. Because we have 5, and she has 5 Pokemon on her team. I think we could kill 1 Pokemon with guillotine. If it's 5 Pokemon and 5 guillotines, I think we land 1. I think we kill 1 of her Pokemon. So what do we do against Articuno? Frankly, the correct move would have been to switch out, but I want Juan, not Juan, I don't know why I said that. I want Juan to have tons of XP, so we're keeping Juan in for now. Are you going to use Gust? Okay. That is... I didn't know that hits me while I'm using Fly, but I suppose it kind of makes sense, almost, a little bit. I guess a Gust would theoretically hit you while you're flying. Okay, that is the 4x super effective move, but we take it. Juan takes that from an Articuno. Easily. Yeah, not a problem. However, what would be a problem, actually, now that I think about it, is if this Fly misses, then we actually die. So perhaps I should have, like, healed, or switched out, or something, or some other move besides literally leave myself open to being hit by a 4x super effective Powder Snow and frickin' dying. But, apparently unnecessary. We do not, in fact, need to switch out. And I really wanted to use Guillotine on something on our team. Try to go for the Guillotine, but we are too low health at this point for that to be a viable strategy. So, yeah, we'll just switch out to someone else. We could switch out to Jean. They need levels. But that does sound like a pretty bad idea, considering Flareon versus Vaporeon, I think it's pretty famously a bad matchup. For the Flareon, I mean. For the Vaporeon, very good. So Kenya is coming in. And now Kenya is gonna go for the wing attack. Oh, dire hit? Oh, I wasn't ready for that. I certainly was not expecting that. You really hit me with a move that I was not ready for, Janine. Actually, you hit me with a level I wasn't ready for either. It's 39. I thought your max level was 36, but apparently I was wrong. I was also wrong to think that you would not go for a dire hit. But, you know, that's one of those surprises that, frankly, it probably would have been better for you to not do that. In this case, the element of surprise was not your best move at all. It would have been better, I think, for you to just go for an actual move rather than one of the most useless items in the game. Possibly the most useless item in the game. But who am I to say? You are a ninja, you are a master of the element of surprise, so, like, who am I to tell you you're doing it wrong? Who am I to tell you you should do a more effective surprise next time? You are the master of the element of surprise because you're a ninja. I don't know these things. I simply don't know these things. And so I shouldn't pretend to. Dragonair dies to 1 wing attack. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. That boosted XP is, like, visibly boosted. Like, you know? You would think, when Kenya is level 51, we're this late into the game, obviously everything is taking so much longer to level up. You would think it wouldn't be really visible anymore, that, like, that the XP is boosted. You would think it wouldn't be, like, a very visible difference anymore, because everything is leveling up so slowly. But, genuinely, it is a very visible difference, even still. Like, even this late into the game, I can still see a difference between, like, normal XP growth and boosted XP growth, like, very clearly. Because Kenya just defeats 1 Pokemon that is, like, around, that is, I shouldn't even say around their level. It's, like, over 10 levels below them. They defeat it, and then they get, like, a quarter of the XP they need to level up again. It's crazy. You're a tough one. You definitely won. Here's Soul Badge. Take it. And just like her father, she does not know how to put the before Soul Badge. Alex received Soul Badge. Okay. You're so tough. I have a special gift. It's Safeguard. Wow, that sure is a special gift. That really is a gift that I don't think anyone else would ever give me, especially not a gym leader. So, yeah. Again, really surprised. Really hit me with the element of surprise there, and it's not a very good surprise. Frankly, I think you really need to work on your element of surprise. And the element of surprise is good, as long as the surprise is actually an effective one. And so far, you have not given me a single effective one, so... Great that you're using the element of surprise. Just maybe rethink how you're using it. I'm going to really apply myself and improve my skills. I want to become better than both father and you. Okay. Good of you to have goals. How the heck do I get out of here? That's my goal. Get the heck out of here. You know, this gym is actually way cooler now that you took over, Janine, because your father just had an invisible maze. But you have an invisible maze with, people who are imitating you. So you added that extra element to it that makes it a lot cooler than just bumping into invisible walls. So anyway, I guess I'll go heal up, even though only one of our Pokemon really has sustained any severe damage, any noticeable damage even, not even all that severe. I mean, they're in the yellow, they're not even in the red. That's what I'd call severe, is red health, not yellow. I'd call that, like, considerable damage, or visible damage. Red would be severe damage, red health. But, yeah, I actually, going completely off topic here, but I actually finished watching, Sunset Paradise by Glitch, the other day. And I think it's really... I think it's really neat how the voice... It's, like, very clearly the same voice actor as Pomni in Amazing Digital Circus. In case you're not aware, Glitch is the people who created Amazing Digital Circus. I'm so sorry that I say Amazing Digital Circus so, like, I'm so sorry that I enunciate that series' name so poorly, but I just do. It's just so hard for me to say Amazing Digital Circus. Like, the digital is always enunciated so poorly, and I don't know why. I don't know why that's such a hard thing for me to say. I don't know why when I say Amazing Digital Circus, the digital just, like, gets smushed together like that, and it sounds, like, unidentifiable as the word digital. Because I can say the word digital perfectly fine, but when I put it between amazing and circus, for some reason it gets really, like, hard to understand the word. I don't know why. Cycling Road is a quick shortcut to sell it on. But, yeah. In case you were unaware, Glitch is the creators of Amazing Digital Circus. Said it slowly that time so you could actually hear the word digital and make it out. And one of their previous series before Amazing Digital Circus was a series called Sunset Paradise about this character named Meggy, I believe. Not Peggy or Penny or any other name with an E or with an E in the middle and E in the general middle of the word and a Y at the end. I call her all sorts of things that are not Meggy, but I believe it's Meggy is her name. And she's, like, apparently some character from some YouTube channel that was, like, a Splatoon, like an Inkling, like a Splatoon character, like their Splatoon OC or something, like a recurring character in their Splatoon videos. I don't really know, but what I do know is that she's voiced by the same person who voices Pomni in Amazing Digital Circus, and obviously this is a series made by Glitch, the creators of Amazing Digital Circus, so it piqued my interest. I do want to watch, like, pretty much everything that Glitch has ever made, because I love Amazing Digital Circus that much. I want to see, like, what the rest of their series are. If you don't have a bicycle, you're not allowed to use the shortcut. Okay, so do I have a bicycle? I don't think I do in this game, actually. Here's a place where I could get an encounter, you know, if I was still getting encounters in this game, but I fear I am out of space for encounters in my box, so therefore I will not get any more encounters for the foreseeable future. But anyway, Meggy has the same voice actor as Pomni in Amazing Digital Circus, and, I think it is really, really neat how, like, it's practically the same voice. Like, she really did not change up her voice all that much. And I'm sure she can, because she's a very talented voice actress. So, and most talented voice actresses obviously can do, like, multiple voices, and, like, have a very good range of voices, you know? They could do, like, a lot of different accents, and, like, different tones and stuff. Different accents, different versions of the same accent, you know, like, different types of people, different ages of people, even. But yeah, so I'm sure she has, like, a very good range. But, because she's a very good voice actor. I know her to be a very good voice actor from her work in Amazing Digital Circus. I have no doubt, because of Amazing Digital Circus, that she is a very good voice actor. I forgot I did not read what this guy's first dialogue box is, so therefore I won't even read the second. So yeah, because of her work in Amazing Digital Circus, I have no doubt she's a very good voice actress, and therefore has a very good range. But Meggy and Pomni sound so similar. And I think that makes it really interesting, actually. Like, first of all, it's interesting how, like, I can pick up... It's interesting how I can hear it. Because I'm not very good at identifying actors and actresses. Like, when I watch something or when I listen to something, I'm not... I would say when I listen to something, I'm better at picking up voice actors than I am picking up actors. You know, like, the same actor playing multiple characters in multiple different films, I probably won't... The same actor playing multiple different characters in multiple different films. Sorry, the same actor playing... Well, I guess multiple different characters in multiple different films, yeah. But that makes it seem like I mean that they're playing multiple different characters in one film and then playing multiple different characters in another film. No, I just mean, like, different characters in different films. But yeah, like, an actor playing different characters in different films, I probably won't notice. But, like, for whatever reason, voice actors, I'm much more... I pick that up much more easily. Like, when a voice is the same. I wouldn't even say that I'm that good at identifying even voice actors, but I know when I've heard a voice before is the thing. Looks, I can't tell. And which is why I feel that, movies are much harder for me to distinguish, because I feel like with voice acting, you pick people whose voices are very distinct, but with movies, looks matter too, so the voice is not as important. Like, when you're casting a movie versus when you're casting, like, when you're casting a movie where, like, it's, like, you need an actor, right? When you're casting an animated movie, you're looking for voice, I feel. Because the voice is very important in conveying the character, because you have, like, the character's look already down. You just need to give a voice to it, so the voice is very important. I feel like when you're casting, like, a live-action film, it's not as the voice is not as important, because the look factors a lot more into it, too. Whereas in animated films, the look of the actor doesn't the way the actor looks in real life doesn't factor into it at all, because they're playing an animated character, you know? Like, the voice matters so much more, when you're not seeing the actual actor. Which is why I think I'm better at identifying voice actors than I am, like, regular actors, because, they just have more distinct voices, or they use more distinct voices. Like, I don't think that actors in film, like live-action films, have particularly, like, undistinct voices. I just think that they are encouraged to do more distinct voices if they're in an animated film, because then the voice is more important. The voice standing out more is more important, because they don't have their looks to make them stand out in an animated film. And the same thing with video games, obviously, like, that's voice acting. They don't have their looks to make them stand out, so they have to do, like, a more interesting voice. They have to make it more interesting vocally, because they don't have the liberty of standing out with their looks. Like in live-action films. Aye! Hold on, let me take a drink. My throat is getting really dry. Yeah, so for that reason, I feel I am better at, identifying, like, voice actors than I am at identifying actors, or at least understanding, well, I feel like I'm better at realizing when I recognize a voice actor versus when I recognize an actor. Since you're so strong, it must be fun to battle. But, I would say when it comes to, like, saying where I know either from, like, saying where I know a voice actor from, or where I know an actor from, I'd say when it comes to, like, actually identifying either, I'm not very good. Like, saying the name of the person doing it, I don't know their names, you know? Like, I couldn't tell you who the voice actor for Pomni is in Amazing Digital Circus. But I can tell you that I recognized the Meggy voice, like, instantly. Like, when I first started watching Sunset Paradise, I instantly recognized her voice as Meggy. Like, I instantly recognized Meggy's voice as the voice actor for Pomni, you know? Like, I hadn't even watched the first episode yet. Literally in the trailer. From the few lines she said in the trailer, I think she said something in the trailer. I'm pretty sure it was the trailer. If not, obviously it was the first episode, but I'm pretty sure in the trailer, from the few lines she said in the trailer, if she said lines in the trailer, I was already able to identify that as the Pomni voice actress. And I think that, obviously, that's because I've watched Amazing Digital Circus a lot recently. I think if I'd watched it, like, a long time ago, obviously I wouldn't have been able to pick out that voice actor, specifically the Pomni voice actor, but I still would have obviously recognized the voice, you know, because I'm just better at, as I said, recognizing, I'm pretty good at recognizing when I'm familiar with a voice actress, or voice actor, whereas I'm not so good at recognizing when I'm familiar with, an actor or an actress. But either way, I'm not very good at identifying exactly who it is. But just because Amazing Digital Circus is fresh in my mind, I was able to identify that as not just a voice that I'm familiar with, but the voice of the Pomni voice actress. I do not know her name, though. Route 18. Celadon City to Fuchsia City. Okay. So I think we go over here, and then they're going to stop us because we don't have a bike, right? Or maybe not. Maybe we do have a bike. Cycling road uphill starts here. Do we actually have a bike? I don't remember getting a bike. Oh, yes, we do. Okay. When did that happen? I was completely unaware of the fact that we had one. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll switch to Kenya now. Juan has gone up in levels considerably. Yeah, sure, let's switch to Kenya. But, yeah. Two things about that voice actress's work in Sunset Paradise. First of all, I think it's really neat how I was so easily able to identify it as her. And second, I think it's really neat how... Well, I think it's neat how I was able to very easily identify it as her. Very easily and very quickly identify it as her. And that obviously is coupled with, I think it's very neat how, she did basically the same voice for the two characters. With very little deviation, very little variation between the two. Like, if you put them side by side, you will see, like, you will hear, like, obvious differences, but it is, like, it does sound like Pomni doing a impression of someone. Like, it still sounds like Pomni, it just sounds like Pomni, but, like, a bit weird, like, a bit off, but it sounds like Pomni. We're fearless highway stars! So yeah, I'm surprised, I'm surprised that I was able to... First of all, I'm surprised by, how similar the voices are. Like, how she didn't really seem to change up the voice at all between the two characters. That much at all. I shouldn't say how she didn't seem to change it up at all. How she didn't seem to change up the voice sorry. I find it neat how not only did she, well, I find it neat, first of all, how she did not, seem to change up the voices between the two characters all that much. And, stemming from that, I find it neat how I was, so easily able to recognize that as the same voice actress because of that. And then, the other thing that I found neat, piggybacking off of the whole, like, voice thing, I find it neat how, despite the fact that they had, like, very similar voices, the characters seemed very, like, different emotionally from Pomni, you know? Like, they put out a very different aura. Meggy is a very confident, badass, for lack of a better term, very confident, badass character. Meanwhile, Pomni, for most of Amazing Digital Circus, I feel is very, like, nervous, cautious, quiet. Except when, obviously, she has a mental breakdown and loses her mind and starts screaming, but, like, other than that, other than those times, yeah, like, very cautious, quiet, sort of, like, giving very introverted vibes, I'd say. Very, like, leave me alone. Not as leave me alone as, like, Zooble, obviously, but, like, definitely, a lot of the time, I feel like, especially with people who annoy her, she does not draw punches. She does not pull punches, Pomni. She really is just like, please leave me alone. Or, like, very honest, I'd say, in the way that she presents herself. And I wouldn't say that that's, like, confident. It's not really confident, like, Meggy. Like, Meggy will insult someone because she feels confident. Pomni will not insult someone because she feels confident. Pomni will insult someone because she's being honest and she's genuinely just over the situation, you know? Like, I feel like Pomni genuinely is constantly trying to be... Not trying too hard, not trying hard like Ragatha, but, like, Pomni tries to be nice, you know? She speaks her mind, but she tries to be nice. Meggy, I feel, is, like, very aware of the fact that she is not nice. She does try to be nice. It's not that she doesn't try to be nice, but she's not, like, Pomni, where she's like, oh, I am a nice person, I better stick like that. She's like, I am a monster and I ruin everything around me, so I should be nice in order to avoid that from happening. You know? Meggy has that, like, inner demon, like, the darkness inside of her, like, the dark version of her that is, like, constantly taunting her, like Madeline and Badeline from Celeste. At least I think that's how it is in Celeste. I've never played Celeste, but as someone who has seen Madeline and Badeline, like, fan art and stuff, and, like, is generally aware of the character concept, I feel it does definitely give me Madeline and Badeline vibes, the way that Meggy has, like, her dark side that speaks to her and, like, taunts her. But yeah, because of, like, Meggy's dark side or whatever, that is always, like, telling her that she, like, ruins everything and she hurts people, I think Meggy is, like, trying to be nice in spite of that, but she, like, feels she's not a very nice person. Meanwhile, Pomni, like, does think she's a very nice person, and I think generally she is, but she also speaks her mind. Meggy speaks her mind because she doesn't feel she's a nice person, because obviously she's got, like, the darkness inside of her taunting her. Meanwhile, Pomni speaks her mind just because sometimes she loses it, and she's over it, and she just doesn't want to deal with not speaking her mind, you know? She just wants to let it all out. And whether that be in an absolute mental breakdown, or just, like, a calm release of just, like, I'm over this. Like, I'm not a child. You don't have to hype me up. You know, like, Pomni has those moments, whether it be intense or just, like, a calm release. She definitely has those moments of, I'm just gonna speak my mind here. And Meggy has those moments too, but as I said, it's for different reasons. One thinks of themselves as a nice character, and one thinks of themselves as a nice person, Pomni, and is trying to, like, and is not, like, not particularly trying to, like, hold in anything. It just sort of comes out sometimes that they're, like, they speak their mind because it just, like, sort of comes out sometimes. Meanwhile, Meggy speaks her mind because she's, like, doesn't feel she's a nice person. So she's sort of, like, doesn't try a lot of the times. A lot of the time I feel like she does try, but she's not, like, holding it back. And so I feel like when she has something she wants to say, she just says it because she justifies that by thinking she's not a nice person. Meanwhile, Pomni justifies her saying, like, not very nice things because she feels she is a nice person and she's just speaking her mind. Crash and burn! So yeah, like, personality-wise, very different, especially in the way they see themselves, and, like, I would say, like, obviously both of them have, like, their insecurities, but Pomni presents herself, like, way differently than Meggy, and in general, Meggy just has, like, a more confident outward exterior, you know, like, the way she presents herself outwardly is much more confident than Pomni, who seems like she's just trying to get through her life in this digital circus on a day-to-day basis, you know, like, she doesn't come into a situation being like, oh, I'm gonna wreck this place, you know, I'm gonna kick ass and take names right now. Meanwhile, Meggy definitely does. Meggy comes in with her blaster and she's like, I am the hero in this situation, you know? And, like, so, Pomni is, definitely... Hold on 1 second, guys. Okay, so anyway, as I was saying, Pomni and, Meggy both have their insecurities. But they are definitely, like, very different in the way they present themselves and the way that they show or don't show those insecurities. And I feel like it's really cool how, like, they come through as very, like, personality-wise different characters, even though they are, like, very clearly voiced by the same person. I just think that's interesting that they come across so well as, like, different people with completely different personalities, even though they're voiced very, very similarly. And then you have instances of Meggy, like, sort of being, like, beating herself up a little bit and being, like, and like, being very outwardly less self-confident than she usually is, where she, like, sort of loses faith in herself and she lets the darkness win for a little bit, where, like, she's like, you're right, I am a loser, I'm, like, not really I am a loser, but you're right, like, I do hurt people, like, I hurt Ori, you know, like, there's those instances of her, like, sort of like, in what she's saying, sounding more like Pomni, and because they sound similar in terms of, like, voice, her starting to say things that are more like what Pomni would say, like, more self-deprecating, like, more outwardly less self-confident. When her air of confidence drops, and she's sort of being, like, self-loathing a little bit, and being, like, sort of depressed like Pomni in certain situations, then obviously she sounds a lot like Pomni. Like, it's pretty one-to-one, honestly, because the voice already made her sound like Pomni, but then she sort of drops her self-confident nature, her self-confident demeanor, and then she sounds, like, pretty much exactly like Pomni, because not only does her voice match, but her demeanor then does too. Anyway, reckless driving causes accidents. Take it easy. So in general, yeah, I just feel that, it definitely adds a lot to the way you can compare both characters. The fact that they're voiced by the same person, and they're so obviously voiced by the same person. And I think that, it's really interesting how, despite the fact that they are quite obviously voiced by the same person, they are two very emotionally distinct characters, and yet even still, how they're not so emotionally distinct that when one sort of starts to say things that are like what the other would say, you can still, like, tell very clearly, you know? Like, they're emotionally distinct to the point where, like, they are very clearly two different characters emotionally that have like, completely different personalities. But then, when one of them starts to say things that are kind of like the types of things that the other would say, then they seem like exactly the same character. So it's interesting how they, like, rode that middle ground and created two characters very clearly voiced by the same person, who have very distinct, different personalities, and yet can sound exactly like each other in certain moments, depending on what exactly they're saying. Very cool. Very cool how there's that balance of them sounding like completely different characters personality-wise, and yet at some points sounding exactly the same personality-wise. Very interesting how they can convey that. Very interesting how they have that balance and how those characters are conveyed. Anyway, hey, want to have a speed battle? I don't really know what that means, but this speed battle better be fast, because I'm going to end off the episode very soon. So, after this speed battle, whatever that means, I guess a battle that is fast, well, I will ensure, my friend, that it is fast. I don't know how you were planning to make it fast, because, I don't know how you were planning to make it fast, because, you are on a bike, yes, but at the same time, your bike isn't moving. Oh, I suppose this is how you wanted to make it fast. You wanted to make it fast by constantly switching out your Pokemon so they are moving very quickly on and off the field. Well, that sounds like a pretty interesting gimmick. However, in practice, it does not sound very good. I believe that, frankly, I will just be hitting your Pokemon constantly, and there's nothing you can really do about it because you'll constantly be switching them out, and you'll never be landing an actual hit. So I like the gimmick that you're going for, of you're on a bike, so you go fast, so your Pokemon will switch off the battlefield fast, and so it will be called a speed battle, because you are speedy on your bike, and so you do a speedy battle, where your Pokemon are being speedy on and off the field. I like the gimmick that you're going for, I respect it, but at the same time, yeah, very clearly not a good gimmick if you want to, like, you know, actually win the battle. So, yeah. Sorry, man, sorry to put your gimmick to rest so quickly, but it is simply not a good way to actually battle successfully. I respect the gimmick, I don't think it's a good gimmick. I can respect it without it having to be good. And in this case, that is definitely what is happening. So, there you go. You're down. Tamer Thomas defeated. Yikes! You've got awesome torque! I don't even know what that means, but thank you so much. Wayne the Fisher is calling. Alex, good morning. It's me, Wayne. How are you doing? My Datu's looking awesome. I know this is Batman, guys, I know. But, at the same time, my throat is definitely not in good enough condition right now to do a Batman voice, so I will not. I wish I could show you. Oh, yeah, I managed to beat a tough Executor. I need to make my party stronger. See you later. Click. And so now that we defeated that one trainer, hold on, let me back up a little bit and just stay up. Hold on, break? Is there a break button? I feel like there's a break button in some games, but there definitely does not seem to be a break button here, because no matter what button I press out of the two buttons you usually need in this game, A and B, neither of them seems to stop me. So, thank you all so much for watching Eevee Clan as I slide down this hill and try my very best not to go careening into a fence and die by continuously going back up. Thank you so much for watching Eevee Clan. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. This is Alex Espion, signing off.